City Council Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, met in Council Chamber on Tuesday, June 6, 2017 at 7 p.m. for the purpose of discussing the matters listed below. Notice of this meeting was posted on May 30th, 2017 at 9:10 a.m. and then it was revised on June 2nd, 2017 at 11:19 a.m. This meeting is being recorded. Absent from the committee currently is Councilor Fury and Councilor Lovely. We have Councilor McCarthy and Councilor Dibble in attendance from A&F and no other members of the Committee of the Whole here so far. The subjects that we're going to discuss tonight, we're continuing the discussion as we've been doing with all these other nights with the CIP. We have the assessor and then we have the collector. We have, while we're discussing the collector, we're going to discuss city charging for its order 317, city charging for each written demand issued by the collector for a fee of $30 to be added to and collected as part of tax as authorized by Mass General Law 60, Section 15. We also have IT, we have finance, we have parking, purchasing, treasurer, and let's get this started. Great. So let's start with the assessor, please.
I don't have my list.
So this is my favorite of the budget nights. This is the mighty finance directorate. Small in many cases, doing good work. You'll see not many changes in the assessor's budget. There is an increase put in for you have a copy of all the increases, so I don't need to highlight them, but I want to make note of this specifically. There are increases for the deputy assessors. Jim Bond, probably one of the cooler names for our employees, and Stephen Cortez. They were woefully below the salary survey. They're doing excellent work on getting out and taking a look at properties. So you will see increases for them and for the chief assessor. Deb has level funded her non-personnel expenses. Deb's here if you have any other questions related to her budget.
How you doing? I'm well, how are you?
Actually, can I ask a question about one of the metrics, one of the outcomes and performance measures that you have for abatements, that it looks like abatements did like a 30% jump? That there was an average of like 83.5 per year and then it just jumped to 121. Is that typical?
We've actually been low over the past few years because the assessments have been, I think because the values have been going up, people see that their assessments are below what someone could sell their property for. So I think that's why it's been low across the state.
So the estimate was for FY17, but we haven't finished the year. So the estimate is for that, but if you look at the estimated for FY18, it is more reflective of a lower amount of abatements.
Thank you. Do any committee members have any questions for the assessor? And I also just want to plug your tax rate 101 form that you have on the website and that you go through and explain that. It's really, really helpful.
That's good.
And I often refer people to it. So good. Councilor Dibble, did you have your hand raised?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Deb, I just want to compliment you and your staff. Every time I walk into your office, maybe every 3 weeks or 4 weeks or so, with some sort of technical question, I get great answers immediately. So don't change your front staff. They're doing a really good job. As are you. When there's something more technical, you jump up, and often you run up and I've seen you interact with the public. You folks are really hands-on, and I like the way you interact when people come into your office. It has nothing to do with the budget, but you have a human touch in your office, which is excellent.
Well, I think we're one of the front lines for the public, so it seems like the right thing to be doing.
I have no questions about her budget.
Okay, Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing no further discussion. Deb, you know how I feel about you and your department. I don't have to say anything after this time. So, if no further discussion, I move the department total amount of $328,263.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the assessor's total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $328,263, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great. Fine. Collector.
So there are a couple of notable changes in the collectors. One dealing with the $30 increase in demand fees, which we can talk about separately. You'll also see a slight uptick in educational training to get both Bonnie, the assistant collector, Sarah, to say Hutchinson, but Sarah Cisnowski now. Yep. not newly married, to continue classes to retain their certification. Counselor Gerard, do you want to talk about the demand fee now?
Okay, sure. Then,
So as you can see as a supplemental order as part of the budget package, we sort of realized, and it was a great catch by Bonnie, that
hang on, let me just read it, just
Oh, sure. Yep.
into record, that this is order number 317, order that the City of Salem charge for each written demand issued by the collector a fee of $30 to be added and collected as part of the tax as authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 15.
Excellent. So right now our demand fee is $15. If you are not paying your taxes, this fee is applied to you. We sort of realized that in looking at our neighboring communities and also what we're eligible to do under Mass General Law, we were pretty low. $15 does not have the same impact that $30 has. This is both allowed under state statute. It's reflective of the communities that surround us. It kind of puts us more in line to what everyone else is charging for this fee. The question had come up at Council of the Whole, and Council McCarthy and I talked about this a few minutes ago, that this is going directly into the general fund. It's not going to the Deputy Collector, Kelly and Ryan, so hopefully that answers that question. But otherwise, Bonnie is here, happy to answer any questions.
Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Specifically to that question, that was the last council meeting which I chaired, the finance meeting, and that was one of the topics that was on the agenda. And the only question from anybody was specifically regard to where the additional $15 was going to, whether it was going to the city or it was going to Kelly and Ryan. And since it's going to the city, I don't think there'll be any objection, so I have no problem approving that portion of the collector's budget with regard to that, because there were no questions last Thursday, and I don't think there'll be any questions this Thursday relative to that, knowing that the fact it's going back in the general fund.
And do I have a second on the approval of the demand fee?
Did you get a motion?
Didn't you just?
Move to approve.
What are we approving?
Just the demand fee. We're increasing the demand fee from $15 to
increase it from
$30.
$15 to
Recommended to the
$30.
council?
I'd like to ask a question before we
Sure.
continue, if I may.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you. Bonnie, you do a great job as well. Can you just clarify the process of when that demand fee kicks in, at what point, and there's interest when that kicks in? The tax bills are just really high right now, and I'm supporting that you increase this fee, but I'm curious, when does it kick in?
We actually only do it once a year, Counselor. We actually do it at the end of the fourth quarter. So the fourth quarter is due on May 1st. On May 15th, we do the demand fee. And the fiscal year ends, as you know, on June 30th. So it's only a one-time year fee that actually gets added to the bill. So it's not like every quarter, if you're late, we're adding a fee. It's one fee for the entire year.
And when that fee is assigned, how late is that bill? Is it all quarters or just that last quarter that is late?
It's being triggered by the last quarter, so it could be just 15 days late on your fourth quarter bill, or it could be that you hadn't paid a bill since July at the beginning of the fiscal year. So it just is dependent on the actual tax bill
And all of this
itself.
is guided by Mass General Law, when you can apply it, how much you can apply it, and the cap in which you can do it.
So we're just going from $15 to $30, and
Correct.
that's if you're more than 15 days late, is that right?
Well, you could be late from all the way from the beginning of the fiscal year, but if you were just late on your May bill, then it could be only 15 to 20 days late, correct?
I have no further questions.
Okay, so,
I thought it was 4 times a year, so thank you.
No, we do. We just do it on one bill, actually.
so Councilor McCarthy moved to approve the increase in the
Second.
demand fee, seconded by Councilor Dibble. Okay, all those in favor? So moved. Okay, that's passed.
Questions on the collector's budget?
Okay. Do all the monies that you collect go to the general fund?
Yep. Very rarely does money not go to the general fund. If it does, it's through a revolving fund, which you as the body.
Well, to be honest, right now I do the beach stickers and stuff because I'm helping out Park and Rec, so that money is still the
Yeah,
general
the general
fund, but
fund.
it's going into their line, so, but at the end of the day, everything is still, but it's all broken up depending on what we're collecting at the time.
You got it.
Okay. And one of your goals and objectives, we're talking about maintaining a high collection rate. What's considered a high collection rate?
We're in the high 90s.
Oh, okay,
Bonnie
great.
does not mess around on tax collection. Or tax title. She doesn't mess around at all, really, with anything. Or parking tickets. Business happening here.
Oh, I have to pay a parking ticket.
Not
You gotta
part.
wait.
Yeah, she does not. I myself have one on the record that I need to pay.
It goes to the good of Salem.
It does indeed,
I'm happy
yeah.
to take it. I'm happy to pay it. Are there any other questions from Councilor DeVille?
Yeah, I for one, thank you, Madam Chair. I for one like to second that she does not mess around. I tried to appeal 2 parking tickets. I paid another 4 or 5 or 6 of them. Because it's funny, I run in here, rather than park in the garage, walk all the way over here, I park out front sometimes, then the mayor might grab me. I just run in to get my mail and answer a question, but the mayor might grab me or somebody else will grab me, ask me a bunch of questions, and lo and behold, another ticket, but I appealed
Our
one.
most efficient services.
It was so efficient. I was paying the ticket like 10 minutes or 15 minutes after I got the ticket. But she was able to tell me what time I parked there, how much I put in the meter, on and on and on. So it was really efficient. So there was no appealing that ticket, let me tell you. 'Cause she had, I wasn't trying to get away with anything. I just didn't know how long I had been parked there. I didn't think it was that long. So no nonsense. So good job.
Thank you.
I'm forcing myself to park in the garage now. No more. Anyway, thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any further questions from the committee? Do I have a motion? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the department total of $234,664.
Second it.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the collector, tax collections, personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $234,664, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? All set? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're on IT.
Matt 1 of 2 Matts.
Hello,
Hi, Matt.
how are you?
All right.
Councilor Dibble, I think we need to set you up with the app, the parking app.
It's true.
I will admit that even with the app, I'm like, oh, I have 3 minutes, and then it's 20 minutes later, and then I have a ticket.
So you will see some slight changes in the IT personnel budget. A lot of this is related to the consolidation of city and schools. We're on year 2, full year 2, which is wild to think about, of the consolidation of city and school IT. There's a reduction in IT and JS expenses, some of which moving items over to the capital improvement budget, which you all have copies of. There are a few standard and a few new capital improvement requests through the IT department. Matt is here, happy to answer any questions.
So, if I can just ask a quick question. In your recent accomplishment, the mobile 311 system, and then it says facilities dude.
So facility dude, you'll see in the capital improvement plan. This is sort of a work order system for both the city and schools to better track what we're doing in facilities in both city and both schools. How old are our boilers? How many do we have? When's the last time we replaced it? How old are these windows? You know, are they fuel efficient? Looking at things across both city and school. It's been a very strong joint effort between Matt, sort of chairing the committee, Paul LaRue, Kristen Schaefer, the school business manager, Jenna, Michael Letrikowski's been very helpful in trying to get all of us together on the same page of launching this program. It's going to be very, very helpful for both 5-year capital planning, looking at energy efficiency costs, and sort of how are we preparing for the next wave of improvements? Are we, patching something that really just needs to be replaced in whole? Do we have a better understanding of when our maintenance schedule is and how we're adhering to that? So it's facility/school dude. Very cool, hip name for a very bland but yet exciting project.
Well
So it's a
said.
technical term.
It is a technical, dude is a very technical term. Yep.
Yes.
Thank you. And Councilor McCarthy, you had a question?
Relative to the changes and expenses that went over to capital, can you just highlight what they are?
Sure, so some of it is that we had previously been funding a couple different things in both office supplies and software support enhancement that really could have been better served in capital, so we moved it into the routine computer upgrades. So we do like a flat amount for city and a flat amount for school for both software and computer upgrades. Software we try to usually do in here, hardware we do in capital. There's a slight reduction in educational training just based on year-to-date expenses and what's getting done, but otherwise everything's been pretty steady. We made a lot of the most major changes 2 years ago.
Okay.
And
There's also the data processing IT budget, which is separate from this, so that's a separate vote, and you'll see really the meat and potatoes of a lot of the different IT items, the traditional IT items in that budget.
Okay.
And let the record reflect that Councilor Fury joined us at 7:15. So did anyone, Councilor McCarthy?
If there's no further questions, move that we approve the department total amount of $855,130.
Do you have a second?
I have a question first, Madam Chair.
Okay, Councilor Dibble.
Matt, you folks do a great job. I frequent your office regularly with all sorts of technical requests. It looks like the department is growing, a couple new employees. Can you fill us in why that is?
So I think what you're seeing is the effect of the consolidation. So we transferred a number of folks into the department from other areas across the city, public safety, the schools, general municipal operations. There was one net increase, which was the student information system manager. We actually added that
Last year.
So that there was that one net increase. And we did, in the current fiscal year, we made one part-time position whole. So
Can I ask why why the school department employees are not being funded out of the school department budget?
they're no longer school department employees.
They're all city employees, so when the city undertook the consolidation process, we moved all of the school employees, even if they're physically located in the schools at Collins Middle School or wherever, they're all city employees, they're all under Matt's directorate.
Okay, very good.
We moved the money over also at the time, we took that chunk of money, moved it over, and made one whole sum of money.
Okay, I have no additional questions. I'd like to second the motion, please.
Okay, actually, I just realized I found one more question that I had. That we're doing Office 365, just out of curiosity, do you know what the cost difference is between buying Windows 10 versus Office 365?
So Windows 10 so that's the operating system. So on
Yep.
top of that, you need some productivity tools,
Got
right? So Office 365 is really the productivity tool piece. So that covers Word, Excel, Outlook, all PowerPoint, all the productivity tools. And it's
$16,000 for Office 365 for the annual software licensing.
correct.
And that's in the data ITS budget. So
Yep.
that's an exit.
Yep. Saw that. Okay, thank you. So no further questions. Councilor McCarthy, move to approve the IT, GIS personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $855,130, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Those opposed? Okay, then fixed costs.
So the most notable change in the fixed cost budget, we actually talked about already in the police department budget. One of the items that had been funded in the police department budget were security cameras and some security updates relating in the police department. This work is typically handled by Matt's department to begin with. Jake Frazick, who was the IT analyst at the police department, is now an IT analyst helping with public safety in the IT directorate. So we took the money that was in Chief Butler's department budget, moved it over to IT so that all IT upgrades, technology was all centered in one place. So that's the most notable change from last year. Much of this, like much of what you'll see with Kathleen McMahon's budget for the treasurer, are the annual costs of doing business, the cost of Munis, the cost of Tyler Technology, software-related items, the ArcGIS, anything where we have a product, we enjoy the product, and we pay for the product.
Okay.
Same with purchasing fixed costs. There's a lot of things that we pay for that we don't really have much of an option on, like phones. Yep.
Thank you. Do any other committee members have questions? Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt, just one request. Can you, in between everything else you're doing, find a way to uniform the emails that are sent out from staff to all counselors and everybody else in a way that all 11 of us and everybody else who gets these emails don't have to keep clicking on all the attachments. Sometimes they're too big, but if they're small enough, several people within the city, several department staff people, board staff people, put the body right into the email itself. So having, it sounds little, but it sounds little, but if you think about the math, 11 of us plus the mayor and everybody else, all of us clicking, maybe 10 emails per week times 11 of us over and over and over again. It's just a whole lot of wasted time.
Sure, yeah, that's good. That's a good educational thing, yeah.
What several people do, they just put it right into the body of their email, and you open the email, there it is. You don't have to wait for the attachment to open up.
So you're talking about like an agenda mailing kind of
Agenda item, or the minutes, or a decision from the Board of Appeals, whatever it is. They're all small messages in the attachments, but it happens over and over again, 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. Councilor Fieri, you're going to like this change when you
Councilor
go
Fieri
online.
loves email. It's true.
I love email.
You love email.
I haven't got to your 10 most recent emails.
That's certainly something we could add to. We do quarterly training, and that's certainly something that we could add to as a best practice.
I made this request last year, and 2 or 3 staff people started doing it, and it just made it easier.
Okay.
But if we can do it citywide, it's just a waste of time.
we're on it.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from committee members? Do I have a motion? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you. I move that we approve the fixed cost department total in the amount of $866,733.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the data processing fixed cost personnel, well, actually, it's just non-personnel expenses in the amount of $866,733, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, then,
Thank you.
thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
And then we'll go to...
Other Matt for parking.
Skip. Yeah, we'll go to parking. The other
Group the
Matt.
Matts together.
Yeah.
Both bearded.
So,
Helpful.
section 7.
Try.
So this is Matt Smith's first budget meeting, so let's all be kind and gentle. The most notable, scary. The most notable changes you'll see in the parking department, we do have some capital improvement upgrades, which Matt is happy to answer questions about. You will see the addition of a split position between the electrical department and the traffic department, traffic and parking. With Matt coming on board, there's been so many great things, right? A greater use of technology with the new automated kiosk in the garage, really getting a swing of things with the staffing changes, looking more comprehensively at traffic patterns, pedestrian patterns, everything in sort of a universal transportation citywide, and much of that is working with John Giardi's office on how are we timing traffic signals. This is all things that you as counselors discuss regularly. You're familiar with the challenges of traffic and parking in Salem, so there is a split position for assistant traffic and parking director that will be split between the electrical department and the traffic and parking department, hoping that we can sort of get a collateral comparative good criteria on what's happening citywide. So you'll see that split. There's a note in the staffing budget. Otherwise, everything has been held the same. I think the first couple months of automation have gone very well. I can say from personal experience, as Whitney Haskell and I spent a lot of quality time at the parking garage, making sure that it went smoothly. The automation is going very well. The data coming out has been immensely helpful, and I think it's really brought the garage to sort of a new level that we didn't have before. Happy to answer questions.
Councilor Fury.
I've been on the city council for 20 years. It's a breath of fresh air, sincerely. And then we're now in the 21st century in parking. It's amazing that it's got to make our job on the city council as the ward councilors and the large councilors, even the mayor, a much easier situation for the residents and so on. And you yourself and your parking commission, Lieutenant Prasuski, were instrumental in bringing the speed limit down. The state gave us the opportunity to bring the speed limit down from 30 miles per hour down to 25. Without your research, without your effort, your professionalism, your department, it wouldn't have been. So thank you very much. Keep up the good work. We're in the 21st century. Thank you very much.
It's pretty exciting.
Do you have, Councilor McCarthy?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair, through to Matt. Matt, I think you're doing a great job. My only question is being one of those ward councils that happens to be in a ward that seems is in the front lines with regards to partial land downtown and in the historic district relative to parking enforcement. How are we doing on parking enforcement? How many additional meter people are we bringing on for the summer season? And when will we be seeing those in the neighborhoods?
Sure. So we have recently, there was actually some open positions from last year's budget. We have recently hired one, Gloria, who actually used to work here, and she has been
Gloria.
instrumental. Yeah,
I
she's
saw
back.
Gloria. Yep. Back,
she will be
back at it.
She was brought on a couple weeks ago, and we are now starting to do the neighborhood. I would say add those to the routes. We have one more seasonal worker, which we're planning to bring on. It's basically a 6-month position. We're looking to hire that soon. And then there would be one additional basically half-year position, which we could break up depending on where the need is. That is the biggest challenge, I think, has been the neighborhoods. Currently with the 2 full-time, we've really been focusing on those areas that are metered, where that is quite frankly efficient and I would say valuable based on the actual salaries to actually implement that, actual enforcement. You can see like the timing, who's paid, who is not, whereas the neighborhoods are a little more complex. So that's where we're really going to be using that part-time help. So I hope in the next month or so have another, and then within the next 2 months to have.
So with the automation in the garage, those positions that the person used to staff
They're now staffing the office. So the person that was staffing the booth is now staffing the office because we have a 24-hour parking operation. So those that were the full-time cashiers are now working as full-time parking supervisors in the office.
Okay. And so there's no more flexibility to increase enforcement. I mean,
That's
I
what-
would-
We are
Okay.
increasing enforcement, so some of this is the way that we're structuring. I think the real value of having a full year of garage automation and staffing and having Matt come in with a fresh set of eyes is that we are really looking at, is a half year the most appropriate? Is it seasonal? Do we need someone for part-time for the full year? Do we need this is a serious increase from what we've ever done historically. As a resident of Ward 1 on that area, I'm pumped for residential enforcement on Union Street and others, but I think it is really looking more comprehensively at how are we, A, utilizing the staff we have, and B, taking advantage of these additional positions and saying, okay, is it part-time, is that the right fit? And Matt spent a lot of time looking at that.
I wholeheartedly concur as, you know, as much as, you know, everything comes out of downtown.
You got it.
I mean, now that the tourist summer season is starting, we need to broaden the circle, so to
Yep.
speak, because, I mean, as much as I understand the enforcement of downtown and the movement of, you know, enforcing the meters and making sure people move in and out of the meter spots downtown for the sake of downtown, the business of downtown, all that, but
Absolutely.
this is also the time when we need to really focus on the outskirts.
And I think,
And I'm happy to hear that
Yeah.
we're increasing those staffing levels, and I've seen the way Matt's done his job over the last year or so.
Yeah.
And I know that he will be thoughtful in his approach in order to, you know, I mean, people are creatures of habit. If they know that the meter person is, I don't like to use meter maids. If they know the meter person is gonna be coming out in the neighborhood on, you know, Monday morning or something like that, then they're aware of it. And, you know, if they're on some sort of schedule, as long as it's some sort of presence or some sort of, someone sees.
yeah, and I think that's
On a, you
that's a
know.
big part of this. And I think that's what's happening now. You know, I think our two primary meter enforcement people are really doing a great job, right? Counselor Dibble can attest to their speed in
Right.
which they ticket. I too can attest to that. But having Gloria come back, it's really been a game changer. She has the institutional knowledge of the neighborhoods. But having this part-time seasonal help to say, yep, we got the downtown, now go. Now hit these neighborhoods, see if we can make sure that cars are moving that are supposed to be moving,
Right.
that we are, you know, really adhering to the rules set forth by the council. So I think it's going to be a great change.
I'm excited for that, thank you.
Me too.
And I will say that with the impending T shutdown,
Yep.
that's certainly going to impact my ward as well. So I think, I'm sure that you're already,
And kudos to Matt Smith. I think he's seen this in his time before, his short time already before you, really looking at things holistically.
Yeah.
Is this impacting over here? If you're squeezing the balloon here, Councilor McCarthy, we've talked about this 1,000 times, right? If you squeeze the balloon in one neighborhood, it's just going to push the cars somewhere else. So I think that's one thing that having someone at the helm of traffic and parking and working really collaboratively with Alan Sulloway, who did an awesome job running the department in the time period of Jim Hacker and Matt coming along, but having someone to say, okay, let's look at the citywide, let's take a real global view on how parking's going, where's the impact. It's been excellent.
great. And Counselor Dibble, did you have a
Yes,
question?
thank you, Madam Chair.
Counselor Dibble.
Through you. Matt, nice job on everything I've asked you to do. With the assistance last year with Salem State University parking, it was a disaster, but we got you down there a little bit late. Wondering if you could just put on your radar screen the first 3 weeks that Salem State is back in operation in September. We need extra enforcement there. We don't need them all summer long, so you can go to Ward 1 and everywhere else. But we need you that first 3 weeks because there's a significant deficiency of parking spaces on campus for Salem State. There's some 100 to 200 students that live on the campus that offered to pay the $400 fee to park on campus, but were denied. So where do they park? In our neighborhoods. And it's not just for a short while. It's all day, 24 hours a day. The car doesn't move for the whole week. They arrive Sunday night, they go home on Friday afternoon. They're there for the whole week. And it's just not fair to the neighbors, you know, who might want to park in front of the house once in a month, but they can't. So we need your help the first couple of weeks. Like you did the beginning of October, I think you jumped in to help. Can you just confirm the color? Your tickets are white and the police department is still orange, or did we change that?
Well, it's different.
Actually, Bonnie could probably vouch to the color of the tickets, right?
Yeah, the police officers are the handwritten ones, they're white and blue. And now we've just got rid of the orange envelopes back a couple months ago, and they're just white.
Okay.
Yeah, they come out of, the my enforcement staff comes out of a handset, or that's actually automatic, and those are actually handwritten by the police.
Yep,
too.
Beth has one
Yep.
right there if anyone would like to look.
Here's my ticket. Right here.
Great.
So in particular, the areas on Lafayette Street that you know about already and around Horseman School, but the area I really need you to focus on is Loring Avenue between Jefferson Avenue and Deadman's Curve, between Central Campus and South Campus. Those cars simply do not move for a whole week. Every weekend, you drive through, there's nobody there. It's true. Then they're back for the whole week, and literally, the car does not move for a whole week. Lastly, can you talk a little bit about all the red covers that we have on meters? It seems like they're good parking spots, no damage on anything, but the covers over the meter saying you can't park here. I forget what it says, no parking.
Yeah.
But sometimes the meters are covered for weeks and weeks.
Yes, some of those are actually for construction purposes and they have been paid for. So what we do, the only time that ever goes on is if the meter is either broken or if there has been payment by a contractor. So for instance, across the street, there's several over there. They'll be used for the staging and where some of the demolition will be happening for the City Hall Annex. We use them as sparingly as possible. One has been used for a contractor working on just various projects for the city rather than parking illegally. It's only when, I would say this, it's only when they have to get to typically when they have to get to their truck at a frequent basis and can't be going back and forth like to the garage, et cetera.
Okay, for example, I'll just point out two, there's a bunch of them around, but one out here in front of City Hall.
As we were just speaking.
And then the other inside the Church Street parking lot, the little lot, right?
Just broken.
Village,
On Salem Green parking lot.
that has been working for the head contractor of the Hotel Salem, who does go to and from that and brings materials back and forth. They had been parking on the pedestrian mall. That was something that was not allowed. We worked with them to attempt to find a solution to be within proximity of the site.
If I can suggest the next time you go to buy these bags, when meters are broken, can we just say when meter is broken instead of no parking here? Because if the meter's broken, somebody should still be allowed to park there. Anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah,
Okay, we need every parking spot we can get.
I agree.
There's plenty of parking downtown, but you just have to drive around looking for it or park in the garage. And if we have some on-street parking that becomes available with a broken meter, people will park there. They'll be glad to park there for free.
Yeah.
But when it says no parking, it stays empty all the time, if the meter's broken. Thank you. Good job on everything you do.
If I can ask about can you talk in more detail about the items in the CIP?
Sure.
Sure, so Counselor, some of this is routine business. The garage upgrades is being funded through the bond premium amount, so you'll see the list for general garage upgrades. We've usually done about $150,000 every year. This covers a range of things from elevator upgrades, asphalt repairs, ballard upgrades, curbing, striping, painting, just general upgrades to the garage to begin with. You'll also see some additional funding for parking garage kiosks and equipment. So I think one of the sort of interesting things we've learned about with the automation of the garages is that people are using it. They're using it, they're happy to pay on foot. And so we are seeing a backup with the limited number of kiosks that we have at the Museum Place garage. This will eliminate that backup. It will eliminate people standing into traffic. It always amazes me, and I've done it too, but people will get in line and then the body of their, the list in line of people is going directly into traffic. So this will allow us to purchase some additional kiosks. Lastly, there is money in for traffic signal communication upgrades. This is working in tandem with the electrical department on four locations?
5 locations.
5 locations for some traffic signal upgrades and doing the study. It's a 2-phased approach, so you'll see that there's a certain amount in for this year and there's an amount in for next year, so we can phase out the process of this. This was typically in the electrical department budget. Matt is going to be working with John Giardi, and so we put it in the parking department budget. So this is something that you guys would historically see in electrical.
Okay. And so how many kiosks does 75,000?
It's 2. It's one would be a cash and credit, and one would be a credit card only. Basically, it's really to address sometimes we're getting extremely long lines, and it would be far more efficient and helpful.
Yeah. And what are the 5 locations?
Currently, we have the idea is to put more. The greatest need is in front of the parking garage, at the main, right in front of the office. Right now, we currently have 1 machine there. We would like to put both of them actually right there because that's where the lines tend to be the longest.
We initially planned on purchasing more as part of the original garage upgrade, but the cost of the upgrade, as you know, is so expensive in the first place that we said, okay, let's work with the kiosks we have, do a couple months of automation, see how we're feeling, see how the lines are, and this really gave us a good bellwether of how utilized this is. People are enjoying having to pay by a credit card and waiting in line. So it's very helpful in terms of foot traffic.
And then the traffic signal communication upgrades, what were the 5 intersections?
So the 5 that we're going to be working soon will be the key downtown ones of Washington and the Norman, New Derby, Lafayette in Derby, Lafayette and Harbor, Lafayette and where Washington hits, and then Washington Canal. What these do, these are new signal technologies that actually speak to each other wirelessly and then alter the signal depending on the flow of traffic. What they do is they actually talk and then can adapt to real time. So they actually do, they're visible detectors that then change based on the backups and moving. So they're pretty fantastic.
Incredible.
And then the other 5 would be dealing with the Bridge Street corridor, which is like the 5 where you're hitting, like coming off the bypass from the Beverly Salem Bridge. So it would be Bridge, I guess you would call it, Bridge, St. Peter, Bridge, Washington, under the entry of the MBTA, and then up to the ramp. It's a really problematic area, and we're seeing severe backups really because of the lights, and we don't have the technology right now to time them.
And I'm sure John Jardy will speak about this further tomorrow night during his budget hearing.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. I will say that I do appreciate when all of the different departments coordinate and work together, because I think it helps the city so much more.
Yeah, agreed.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I echo your comments, the different departments working together, it works. Just to confirm the repair schedules to the garage, I had talked to the building inspector and the assistant building inspector. They were all over making the changes. The garage is spotless, and it's a pleasure to go in there. And I'm really happy these repairs that are needed are being done right now, so bring the garage up to a even higher level. So it's a pleasure to park in the garage. The lighting improvements and the repairs to the staircases, the replacement of the staircases, is that still on schedule so that one or two of the staircases will be reopened the end of June, and then the one that's open right now will close, and basically within the next 2 months or so, they'll all be reopened?
Yes.
Yes.
It's early July for the first 2, but then the others, all 4 by the end of the summer. Steel starts next week, actually.
By the end of summer, so long before Halloween kicks in.
Yes,
the plan.
that's how we've built the schedule.
Contractor, get us, the contractor wants out prior to then.
Yes.
So.
I understand additional bracing was supposed to take place to that one staircase. Has that been done yet?
No, that was a reinspection, and that was recommended, and that is going in within the next week, actually, I think early next week.
Yep, exactly.
And the steel plates, did they go in yesterday on the roof?
They're on.
Why didn't we just fill them with hot top? Why couldn't it be done?
Believe it, because it's actually more, because they're at seams in some of them. So one of them we could have just filled in, but the others are at seams. And what happens is when you don't do it correctly with this, it can actually then, because the concrete, it will actually continue to crumble and go through based on water damage. And then you're actually adding a solid material that's more likely to come through. That's my understanding of it.
What I didn't see on the list is when will those repairs, permanent repairs, take place? We're looking for a bid out right now where we're waiting for an estimate for some of the larger holes, but we have the RFP out for the structural, and it's actually more like the maintenance and repair assessment. Those are due actually tomorrow, which will be a complete look at the garage, and then one of the parameters is to create a 5-year maintenance plan to keep it ongoing and make sure it's up to snuff and making it clean. When do you think the steel plates will be gone and they'll be repaired?
I'm hoping within the next month or so.
Awesome.
For those main holes, yeah.
I won't find any more questions.
Are there any other questions from committee members? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve the department total amount of $911,689.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the parking department general operation total personnel and non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $911,689, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All set. Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
How was it your first time?
It was fine. It was good. Thanks.
We'll get you next year, don't worry.
Okay. Now purchasing. Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On full disclosure, Whitney is my niece, and the...
Hold that
By
again, sir.
marriage.
Yeah, by marriage. By marriage, and because of that, I asked the city solicitor, and because of conflict of conflict rules, it would pertain to Whitney's, if this was Whitney's mother, but it doesn't pertain to Whitney, so, but under full disclosure, Whitney is related to me. But the separation is such that I do not, even though there's a perceived conflict, I am not in conflict, so I am allowed to sit here, just so for the record.
I appreciate you.
Whitney doesn't always like to admit.
No, Whitney doesn't admit to the fact that I'm her uncle anyway. As she just stated, she's by marriage, so.
So,
Should we all call you Uncle Bob then?
Yeah, you know,
I'm taking to doing it myself.
yeah, Uncle Bob, yeah.
Yeah. As did my mother when she met him, she said, "You must be Uncle Bob." This is the purchasing department budget. You will both see purchasing and fixed costs. I love all the departments in the finance directorate. I have a really soft place for the purchasing department because it is very low profile and does an incredible amount of work. You will see an increase for Whitney Haskell in this budget. I cannot advocate enough for this increase. Whitney is woefully below the salary survey for someone that has really modernized the purchasing department. This is a woman who has experience in the Inspector General's office. She is a lawyer, and she really is she's the backbone of both the capital projects and much of the finance operations, really doing great work, and keeping all of us honest, which is most importantly, and also saving the city a boatload of money. Effective purchasing, although not glamorous, ensures that everything is being adhered to, people are paying for their own wage, job sites are safe, and that the city is really getting the best, most competent, most responsive contractors that we can get. So, further ado, Whitney Haskell, if you have any questions, her budget is always level funded, with the exception of an increase for her, but otherwise she does a great job of keeping everything on the cheap, but quality and cheap.
If I can start off, well, first of all, thank you for everything that you do. So with the fringe and the stipends, I'm a little confused by this. So we're adding 10,000, I mean, we're
So we get a 10,000, so I forgot to even add that part. Whitney does all the purchasing for the town of Swampscott as part of our intermunicipal agreement. We get a $10,000 sort of agreement, intermunicipal government agreement from Swampscott, $1,000 of which goes to Whitney. The remaining 9,000 goes to the general fund. I will say that the assistant town manager for public works, Gino, what's his last name? Gino Cresta in Swampscott, I think would step in front of a bus for Whitney Haskell. She does the bulk of the heavy lifting for purchasing for Swampscott. I had commented once that she made a joke with him in the room that we weren't gonna have Whitney do it anymore, and I thought the man was gonna jump off a bridge. So she's a pretty valuable asset to both us and to Swampscott.
Well, they can't have you.
Well, they have her part-time, but they pay us for her, so
Yes.
yes.
Do any committee members have any questions? Councilor Fury?
Yes, please, Madam Chairperson. Does Whitney, does your department have a relationship with the school department? Are you separate?
Yeah, no, I do all the schools, also the WIB, city, and something.
Now she's just showing.
Entire budget?
Yeah,
Wow.
everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're in good hands.
Thank you.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Whitney, I'm pretty familiar with the bidding rules from 3 decades ago, back in the 80s and 90s. I did a lot of bidding for the city back then. Can you just talk a little bit about your philosophy between using 30B and the state contracts?
Yeah, I think typically if there's something that we either don't have the expertise in-house or the time to do it correctly, I think that's when the state contract comes in handy. But other than that, I typically find that if it's something that I can do myself, we tend to get better pricing.
Absolutely. I'm really glad to hear that. I'm on the other side of the fence, and I've read the contracts on both sides. You almost always get a better price bidding it yourself rather than just a state contract.
Yeah, so the only time I typically use a state contract is like these guys, the IT guys, where I don't know what the heck is going on. And we just gotta make sure it's legal. But like a vehicle, for example, if we spec out a vehicle, bid the same vehicle, we're probably gonna get it at a better price.
You can always use a state contract.
Right, absolutely. That keeps everything legal. That's like the minimum bar, and then if we can do better.
Yeah, but if you don't do better on your bid, go to the state contract.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
You're never gonna have to do it because the local bid's always gonna be better, 99.9% of the time. I see it so often from the other side of the fence on bidding on projects. I can't believe the prices they claim that there's a discount, but there really isn't much of anything on the state contracts. It's not a bargain at all. Can you explain a little bit more about the Swampscott portion and how do they pay their share of her salary? It doesn't show up in the line item here.
It does. So we get a $1,000 stipend that goes to Whitney. That is on the bottom here, Counselor. So it'll say it says 10,000, but 1,000 goes to Whitney. 10,000 goes to the city. It goes into the general fund. So we invoice them at the end of the fiscal year. So when the year is complete, we invoice them, and $10,000 comes in. Whitney gets $1,000 of that 10,000.
You tricked me there. You moved your note over from where it usually is on these lines.
Sorry.
Thank you.
So we signed the intermunicipal agreement 3 years ago or 4 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago. Tom Watkins was still here.
Yeah,
so 5 years ago.
10.
7? Yikes. Anyway, years ago.
So
it's been working
the
since then.
$9,000 that goes in the general fund,
Yep.
where does that show up? And why isn't there a separate line item here for the Swampscott portion?
So the 1,000 is portioned off to Whitney. That part of her salary is paid from that. All 10,000 is deposited into the general fund. So any revenue that comes in, the parking revenue that we were just talking about, the demand fee, all of that goes into the general fund, which is highlighted on your recap, which is page what, Nina? Section 3, page what? Nina Bridgman? Section 3, right? The recap is in section 3. So you can see in the recap, section 3, Council, where all of the money goes in for the general fund. I'm happy to show you where the money for Swampscott comes in. We invoice them in June, and we get the money for the fiscal year.
Okay, offline, separate from this meeting, if we can do that, that would be good.
sure.
Just, I didn't see it anywhere in here.
Yep.
And then, so now I understand better the Swampscott relationship, but we talk about joint bidding opportunities. Do we do other joint bidding opportunities with other, like?
Yeah.
Because what we,
So the-
hold on for him for a second. If we're doing it with Swampscott, I think that the lion's share of the help assistance would go to Swampscott, and they'd get better prices. But if we were leveraging Salem with Lynn or Beverly or Peabody, or all of them, then the unit price of whatever we're getting a price on is going to be so much lower.
Yeah, so-
do we work with those?
We do. We have a lot, North Shore does a lot of work together. So for example, highway salt, I lead that procurement for all of North Shore communities of Swampscott, Beverly, Salem, Peabody, Medford. There's probably like 10 people on that list. I lead that one. Then we have another, Lynn does fuel oil for all of us. So the Swampscott thing, when it comes up, like if we have our plumbing contract, if ours comes up at the same time as Swampscott, I do them together as sort of an efficiency thing, but the North Shore, we have a North Shore cooperative, basically, that certain people head different ones, and we leverage the buying power of a number of communities.
Lastly, there were some, 30 years ago, there was some back then there were outdated local Salem ordinances with regard to purchasing. What you could and could not do, the dollar threshold, on and on. I guess I'd like to ask you, unless they've been revised recently, which I'm not aware of, to take a look at those and then make a recommendation back to before this council, because they only hurt what you do. We need to adjust the dollar amounts or whatever else to make them make sense 3 decades later from when they were written.
So thankfully, the ordinance does reflect that there will be changes in Mass General Law. There is a reference to that. The
Yeah,
other
I
part
think it
is
just
that-
references to whatever.
Right, so, and Mass General Law supersedes local ordinance on procurement, but that's certainly something we can talk to Beth about. I would also note that Whitney's done a pretty comprehensive procurement manual, which most department heads have a copy of. They're either requested or we've done procurement training on that, just to ensure that if there are changes in the law, that we are updating staff as it comes along. But if I'm not mistaken, we can double check. The ordinance reflects the Mass General Law cited, not the listing of dollar thresholds.
Let's revisit it, and if we have to rescind those ordinances, let's do so, but I just don't like the conflicts.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from committee members? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the department total in the amount of $146,245.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the purchasing personnel, non-personnel expenses in the amount of $146,245, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay. Under fixed
Whitney,
costs.
thank you.
So Whitney also oversees, in addition to the myriad other items, fixed costs, photocopiers and telephones for cell phones primarily. All of this is contractual, so these are real costs that you're looking at. We do the best we can to estimate photocopier usage. We're constantly getting on people to say less color, make less copies. Do you have to print it? Matt Killen has worked with Whitney to sort of remind people, do you need to print this? can you just not print it perhaps, to try to improve efficiencies there? Much like the IT fixed cost budget, these are real costs negotiated with specific vendors.
That is
And there, Councilor McCarthy.
one question relative to the specifically wireless telephone. So every wireless telephone in the city comes through your office or is controlled, except for the police
Police
department?
and fire do their own, but all of the main city departments.
Councilor Dibble?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had this discussion with the city clerk with regard to her budget. I believe you're required to advertise as well, some legal ads and things. And the cost of advertising locally has just skyrocketed. My suggestion, in reading legal ads from other cities and towns, many cities and towns have reduced the size of the font to something substantially less, reduced the amount of the text to something less, and brought their, one purchasing agent told me they brought their budget down by about a third. It wasn't a big jump, but if you're talking $20,000 in that town, that was a big jump for them. Can you speak to that very briefly?
Yeah, so it's funny you say that because when I came in, I cut it down to bare bones. And I also I will time bids so that I can do one advertisement for 2 bids. So that is like a little bit longer, but it's less than 2 would be. So I think this year I've finally seen that start to pay off a little bit, and I'm actually in good stead on my advertising budget because of that.
Do you tell the news what size font you want?
No, they're all standard. I send them a Word document and they resize it.
I've seen some legal ads from other towns and other newspapers that are really small font.
Yeah, they charge by the letter rather than the size of it, so they decide how it fits, I guess.
Okay, so it's different. Okay, thank you.
Any other committee members? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the purchasing fixed cost in the amount of $63,412.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the purchasing fixed cost non-personnel expense item in expense budget in the amount of $63,412, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you, Whitney. And then we are on to treasurer.
So the treasurer has quite a few budgets, so just to do a little oversight before we get into it, just so that Kathleen isn't held personally responsible for the size of our debt or the cost of our contributory retirement system or the assessment from Essex Tech. It's not her fault. I would love to say, darn Kathleen.
I would take
thanks for all the
responsibility if I
debt,
had to, but I don't.
So we're gonna flip over a little bit because there's gonna be a couple sections where we'll go into engineering. We talked about in their budget because the debt for engineering is paid for, all debt is paid for by the treasurer's office. The most notable, we can talk about each of them, but the general precursor. It is not Kathleen's fault that our debt is so high. It just happens to be that budget is under her authority. The most notable change you'll see in the Treasurer's Department budget is related to an increase in credit card fees. This is related to Matt Smith. Just kidding, it's the automation of the garages. So because we added, this is Matt Smith's fault. So because we added so many additional payment kiosks, we had planned for and sort of looked critically at the cost of this. So this is related to the credit card fees associated with all the transactions from the new automated garages. Happy to answer questions on the Treasury Department budget.
So what happened in contracted services? The line item 5320, that
What do
we
you
had
mean, what happened,
expenditures in
Counselor?
FY 2016 of 0. We put in 1,000 and year to date is 0.
So
but
this
we're
is
putting
for
back in
financial
1,000.
consulting services for debt, so we have to do above and beyond. It depends on the cycle in which we do debt for issuances, so it just depends on the time of year. We will spend it. We're getting ready to do an issuance. We're doing an issuance this week, actually, for spring banning, so that cost will be assumed then.
Okay. Any other members of the committee have any questions? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Kathy, if you could take a look at page 73 of section 8.
So are we sticking with the same?
Still in the first one.
We're sticking with,
Still in the first part.
because there's so many, we're gonna go budget by budget by budget. So this is just the treasurer. Long-term debt is next.
Flip that. Just going to general administration first.
Yep.
which is page
Just doing general
30.
administration first.
I'll hold my question for about 2 minutes.
Okay, 2 minutes.
The debt is the more exciting part.
That is the bigger part. Just keep
It's
going.
bigger.
There you go.
Thank you.
Go on.
I have no additional questions for this section.
Okay, Councilor McCarthy.
Seeing no additional questions, I move that we move the department total of $355,194.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasury services personnel, non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $355,194, seconded by Councilor Fieri. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
So the next round of
Or debt
fixed costs
service, sorry.
are much like Whitney's and much like Matt's. These are our non-negotiable items. Our long-term debt, our short-term debt, our Essex Tech assessment, our state assessments, our contributory retirement board assessments, our non-contributory pension assessments, Medicare and municipal insurance. This is the cost of doing business, one of our larger items in the budget. Much of this we talked about at the budget retreat, sort of the necessary evil of fixed costs. So there's several sections. Happy to answer questions on each individual section, or if you'd like to go one by one, but this is part of a larger section.
Okay, Councilor Dibble, did you want to start off?
Yes, thank you. Could you please, through the chair, could you just please explain the difference on page 73 of section 8, third paragraph, where we go from the principal amount to the interest amount on each of the enterprises, the water, the sewer, and then the capital fund, the general fund capital improvements and equipment principal, and that interest. The ratio between each one just seems to be quite different.
So it is, because each issuance of debt is based on where the debt came from. So for water sewer debt, it's rate supported. So rate supported debt is overseen in the water and sewer department. Ratepayers, us good old Salem taxpayers, are paying for that debt as part of our water and sewer rates. Capital debt related to the general fund is done separately. So you'll see in the orders for capital improvement and the orders before you as part of this budget, there's rate supported debt, which is why you'll see principal and interest payments of one variety, and general fund supported debt, same thing, principal and interest payments of another variety. And it's the sources in which they are funded. It has less to do with the changes in it. It's where the money is apportioned. If you are borrowing for a sewer project, it shows and will be paid for exclusively out of sewer. If you're borrowing for water, it shows is paid for exclusively out of water.
I'm reading this to be that the interest rate is significantly different. Is that correct?
Not significantly different, but also the amortization of it in terms of the years. Some things could be 15, some could be 20, some could be 25.
So under state statute, certain projects have a certain lifetime. Sidewalks, for instance, have a maximum usable life or maximum debt life of 15 years. A school project might be a 30-year issuance. Upgrades to the parking garage is a 20-year issuance. That's all regulated by state law and how long the debt can be issued for. You always have the option of paying it sooner if you wanted to shorten your debt schedule as part of a refinancing or a new money issuance, but the way and the structure in which money is issued is regulated by state statute. And it's very specific for both enterprise fund and for general.
Can you compare, thank you for the explanation,
Sure.
It makes sense now. Can you compare Salem's debt comparison to other like cities and towns around here? Where do we stand?
So I think that's a little bit of a difficult comparison for a couple reasons. I think first is that you don't have many 400-year-old cities, right, with the infrastructure that we have around us. Lynn and Peabody, I don't even think would necessarily be comparable, neither would Danvers, neither would Beverly. We try to keep with GFOA standards of keeping our debt under 5% of our total operating budget, and I think we've done a really judicious job of doing that. Comparing our debt to other communities is certainly challenging. What is your community value? Are you doing roads? Are you doing schools? Are you as aggressive as we are in making sure that we have top-notch schools, constantly improving roads, new municipal vehicles for our needed public safety departments? So I think it's definitely hard to do a comparison of our surrounding communities, but we definitely try to keep in the standard of the Government Finance Officers Association budget. And also, I think that's reflective of our incredibly high bond rating right now. It's the highest it's ever been in the city, and that's reflective of that we're keeping our debt to income ratio in a very reasonable place.
Like, I wasn't aware of the salary comparison you did. Have you done a bond and interest loan?
We haven't. I can certainly reach out to Peter Fraser, who's our financial advisor from First Southwest. He does many municipalities across the Commonwealth, and I'm happy to sort of reach out to him and see best practices. We usually compare ourselves to other GFOA budgets just because they try to stay in that same guideline of debt to income ratio. But yeah, that's certainly something I can do, Counselor.
Yeah, personally, I think that we're in good shape in Salem.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'd like to see if that's true, and how we're looking at compared to other like cities and towns.
Absolutely.
And even include Beverly and Peabody in there, because I consider them like, even though we have older infrastructure.
Yeah, Peter Fraser certainly has some information. I'd be glad to reach out to him.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, Section 8, page 76, just a curious question.
Page 76, Counselor?
Yep, where it lists all the debt service expenses.
Yep.
The one regarding the ferry? How long is that one?
I'm sorry, should we motion on debt service and then go to short-term
Did I
debt?
skip something?
It's not short-term, it's part of the long-term debt, Counselor Gerard.
That's part of long-term debt.
Okay.
It's on page 78, section 8. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as you previously stated, when you read down this list, you're looking at, different schools, police equipment, interest in the Carlton School, which is all relative to projects. I was just, the curious question is, I know that when I was early on in the council, we approved the purchase of the ferry. I was just wondering where we are at.
Nina Bridgman's pulling up you guys have this spreadsheet in your budget. It's large and tiny. It's a good eye test. So this shows
Yeah.
the amortization. Nina's gonna pull it really quick just to see.
I'm just curious how much longer we have to pay on it.
Sure, we can pull that data.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. It's a good eye test for all of us,
It's a wicked eye test.
certainly.
It's my favorite.
Yeah, Kathleen loves the spreadsheet. It's her favorite.
The thing about the ferry that we've tried to do is build in some capital expenses as well. So
And
per
there's-
hour, you might remember this, Counselor, from when we approved the funding for that. There is a set aside by the operator. So when motors go and, owning a boat means your own capital expenses, there's a fund to draw from that. And thankfully, we've got a good operator who also maintains the boat well as part of their responsibility under the contract.
Right, no, I totally understand that. I know that, it was just a curious question, the question came to me when the finance director was speaking relative to the length of some of the, different things that we bond money for, maybe 20 years, 30 years, or whatever. I was just curious, I didn't know where the ferry fell into it, and,
Yeah, we can grab that.
it's one of those things it's not like a school, it's a boat, and they don't last forever, and I was just curious as to how long. I
Next year, Counselor.
Really? I thought it was coming up. That's why I thought it was 10 years.
Time for another one.
Time for
two more.
There you go. Actually, my wife and I took the ferry into Boston a couple of weeks ago. It was nice, and the boat was, the boat ran well. It seemed well maintained, so I have no problem with that.
How were the cocktails, most important?
I don't reference that, but the.
It's okay that you don't.
No, but I was just curious, because especially when anyone who's looking at the budget, when all of a sudden you start reading things and you look at the numbers in parentheses, that's how long we've had it. And so some of these things are actually coming off, and
that's great.
we've had numerous conversations over the years, is when you look at debt, it's like, you look at it as a car payment, you want to keep it constant. As things come off, that's why, how you can bring things in, that's why you are able to maintain your debt and keep it, you don't want to see spikes.
We've been spending a lot of time with Peter Fraser, sort of looking at what do the next couple of years look like, right? What do the next 5 years look like, both for water sewer rate planning, so that we can see the full effect of when Canal Street is online and things are going and the street's open and paved evenly and everything's great.
My colleague to my left actually referenced Beverly, and I would imagine Beverly's if you looked at their debt, they're seeing a spike, because they took on the high school project and they're taking on the middle school project. I grew up in Beverly, and so.
Some pay as you go, too.
Yeah.
So they're trying to structure their debt.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that would separate us from some of the surrounding communities that would be interesting is not everybody has an enterprise fund. So PBD subsidizes their water and sewer rates. Beverly, I believe, does as well. Everyone accounts for some of those things a little bit differently. In our case, our water and sewer rates actually fully fund water and sewer operations. We're not in a position to sort of subsidize that, nor would we want to, because given the nonprofits that we have who don't pay taxes, you wouldn't want to be subsidizing water usage at a Salem State or a North Shore Medical Center. In fact, we, a few years back now, have upgraded all those water meters. So the larger commercial users, we want to make sure we're properly calibrating and not using, leaving or losing a lot of water usage there. So there's just a number of factors. We can definitely get the information. And the ferry was probably a 10-year bond if it's going off now. It would have been about interest only 1 year, and then, we financed it live.
No, and I know that we set aside money annually because of the motors, and because they break, things happen. So, no, which is good, because that just means that
Trying to plan.
Turn a bigger profit on the
Hope for the
ferry.
best, plan for the worst.
Exactly. Totally understandable.
Happy to address questions on the other assessments or questions related to that chunk of the budget.
No, they're all
Unless you
they're
negotiate
kind of
them
like
all lower.
right. You can't. It's like they're all contractual. They're all signed off. There's not much. They're just fixed costs. So, seeing no further questions, Madam Chair, I move that we move to the short-term debt expenses in the department total of $692,410.
Okay, we still have to do the debt service.
Do first line.
I skipped a page. I'm sorry.
We can skip the 5.9 million.
No, I don't want to skip that one. I knew there was a page missed. There it is. I'm sorry. Thank you, Madam Chair. Going back in order, I move that we move the department total in the amount of $5,914,783.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer debt service non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $5,914,783, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now I make a motion to move short-term debt department total in the amount of $692,410.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer short-term debt non-personnel expense line item in budget in the amount of $692,410, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Okay. Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also move that we move the school assessments in the department total of $2,414,672.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the North Shore Regional Vocational School non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $2,414,672, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor?
Oh, briefly after the fact? I just, for the record, I want to say that's probably one of the smartest votes this body and city ever took. Essex Tech is a beautiful facility, and I can't tell you how many kids from Salem will want to and are attending that facility and receiving a top-notch education with regards to the vocational and trades that the variety of different services they offer. I mean, we took a lot of heat because it's a big number. But to be honest with you, the way the kids, Salem kids are, I think we're about 20% of the total of it, 20-some odd percent.
It's actually going down because there's such demand now.
Yeah.
Some of the towns that used to have one or two students, we're seeing their enrollment go up. So ours is slightly, I didn't get the percentage for next year, but I think it's in the mid-teens.
Yep.
So
Good and bad.
Good and bad because it's important, but it's a great opportunity, and I think it's worth every penny of that money we just approved.
Yeah, I think we have 181 students who are very happy there, which is
Exactly. Thank you.
okay, so did we take
We
that vote
approved it.
then?
I was after the fact. I'm sorry.
Okay, so, so should I say it again?
You can if you want.
Okay, so Council McCarthy moves to approve $2,414,672 in the North Shore Regional Vocational School Treasurer's non-personnel expense budget and seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor?
We did this already.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Council McCarthy?
We're on
State assessment.
state assessments. Under discussion briefly.
Yes.
I know this will come up during the school budget tomorrow, but because since it's in the state assessment right now, Mayor, could you briefly talk about the one with the big asterisk next to it?
The charter school increase.
Yeah, so I think the way the charter school funding works, we talked a little bit about this during the budget retreat. The state has set up a formula when there is a Commonwealth charter school where the public school district retains the Chapter 70 per capita amount coming in, which is roughly around $5,000. It depends on where the formula is at, but that's a good average in terms of what we've been able to capture from state resources in, so $5,000 per student. But the Commonwealth also will look at what is your actual average per pupil spending within your city or town. And in Salem's case, it's much higher than $5,000 per pupil, and they send the total amount of the spending to the charter school so that they're able to access funds to educate the kids that they're educating within that system. So we get the $5,000 in, but we're sending out 8, 10, 12, 15, whatever any community's per student fee is. The state also said, look, we're going to fund charter school reimbursement to make it easier on the communities. We're going to have sort of a sliding scale, so as because we know districts still have things like heat and operating costs in a school district that don't go down. So that was terrific in terms of trying to help take the curse off of some of the dollars going down. Unfortunately, the state has not been fully funding their charter school reimbursement account on an annual basis. which means that communities that have charter schools are not getting the benefit of the legislation as it was crafted, which means that it has a bigger impact on our budget. Every year, and because there's only a handful of communities that have Commonwealth charter schools, it's just not a big enough, Boston being one, Salem being one, Revere, a lot of the gateway cities, but of the 351 cities and towns, it's a very small number of communities that are actually impacted. So it's hard to actually get the legislature to fully fund that line item. They would need, for Boston, it costs them $10 million a year on average that they're losing in aid because the state's not fully funding their charter school reimbursement tuition payments. And for us, it's a number that's closer to just about 900,000 roughly. The charter school has had some growth over the last 3 years. They've added 150 students, 50 a year, and that also has coincided with us losing roughly $330,000 a year. So over that 1 year period, we've lost close to $1 million in funding that's built into the legislation that the legislators have signed. However, they don't fully fund that line item. It's not, unfortunately, that has an impact on us, which means we're actually, as you know, receiving less local aid this year than last year. So while we're talking about increases, you've noted increases in the budget for items like health insurance and pensions and assessments that we just talked about, we're not getting any additional local aid. So we cannot really rely on the state to help fund our budget. In fact, we've lost $330,000 each of the last 3 years. So we're down $1 million in total. And who makes that up is the city. We have to rely more heavily on local resources. So we're really hopeful we can make some movements with the legislature. They're looking at a whole foundation funding level. There are a number of communities who are unhappy with the way the Chapter 70 formula works. They think it doesn't provide them with enough resources. And there is a year-long study that went on and has concluded around how to properly fund education in the Commonwealth, because we still have circumstances that zip codes are determining how much funding is going into a public school, and there is case law that's gone to the Supreme Judicial Court that says that's not an adequate way to ensure that every child under the Massachusetts Constitution receives a fair and qualified education. So the immediate problem is we're just not getting this, the state's not living up to their end of the bargain. They've done this in the past with special ed. We call it circuit breaker funding. So we're supposed to be reimbursed for some of those costs. They're not fully funding that. They've taken away regional transportation. That doesn't really impact us because we're not a regional school district, but there are a few areas that the state is just notoriously underfunded, this one being the one that hits us the most.
Okay. No, I thought I'd just mention it.
Thank you. Sorry for the long answer. You can tell it doesn't really bother me.
No. We've had that discussion before.
So if I can ask a couple of questions. So the special education line, that there's been no year-to-date expenses, and then the expenses are going up not quite $5,000?
Well, these are assessments, right? So that just means, I'm not sure why that year-to-date number looks like that. Maybe they haven't taken the money out of the account yet. So this is what the state's actually charging us off the cherry sheet.
Got it.
That will come off. So the MBTA assessment is there. Obviously, that's what we're paying the state. We have to show the charge off. We show the revenue coming in, and then we show what the state's taking back. So there's local aid that comes to us. The net of what we get is a reduction of these assessments that we pay.
You'll see the breakdown of incoming revenues in Section 3 of the budget.
Okay, and is that the same thing with school choice? Is that going to change now that?
School choice is
Sending out.
yeah, that's sending
right.
tuition, right?
Okay, so
So we will hopefully be receiving tuition in.
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
Yes.
So this is what we're sending out, but now that we've
Yeah.
accepted school choice at the high school for some limited seats, we're hoping to get some school, we're hoping to see some assessment, some revenue dollars in.
okay, great, thank you. Counselor Dibble, did you have any questions?
I have a couple. Thank you, Madam Chair. Kim, Mayor, when we met on this last year, we had talked about the huge increase on students leaving and going to choice or going to charter schools. And I had suggested maybe we talk about our schools and do recruitment like they're recruiting their students. Why don't we recruit them? And I asked that a letter be sent to all those families that are at the charters and at the choice schools, and invite them to come back and take a second look or third look. Invite them back.
Yep.
I'm wondering if that letter went out.
I believe the superintendent did reach out to all of them, to both encourage them to come to our strategic planning sessions and encourage them to, come see some of the new things that are happening at the high school. I'll confirm that with you. We have students that are at, Beverly High and at Hamilton Wenham. Those are two of the bigger ones. And then obviously the charter schools, both in Salem and a few in Marblehead. Not very many right now.
I know that letter, a similar letter was sent out about 22 years ago or
You got it, right?
And yes, and I know of some 20 families that did come back. So that was a lot of money back then.
Absolutely.
I think it was still close to 5,000 way back then as well. So maybe we're getting a break on it. But the numbers are staggering. I know this is a school department issue. Maybe we can talk more with the superintendent when they come in. But the numbers from fiscal year 16, up 1 million to last year, up another million to this year. So $2 million in 2 years.
No,
Counselor, no.
Yeah, that's not the school choice number, sorry. That's the charter school
Yes,
number.
I'm saying charter. I'm lumping both together.
Yeah, that's because they've increased their enrollment. So that's why you're seeing such a steep increase. The state granted the charter school another 150 seats. So 50 a year rolled out, so it's a...
Right, it's just more students leaving our system.
You got it.
So it is jumping up. With choice, it's the same number, it looks like, across the board.
It's been pretty consistent with the same number of students there. I'll make sure I'll raise that with the superintendent. I know that we certainly trying to do some outreach and share the good news. I mean, we should be doing that as a matter of course anyways, because there's so many amazing things happening within Salem Public Schools.
I agree.
I had the benefit of being at the Rotary Luncheon today where they gave out $50,000 in scholarships to our kids. They're over the $1 million mark. In the last 17 years, they've been giving out scholarships to Salem High School students, and it was pretty phenomenal. The kids, what their plans are, and the strengths that they brought, not only academically, but just, well-rounded students. So we know there's just tremendously good things going on. A lot of science-based. The kids that were, I shouldn't say kids, although they are, but these graduating seniors who are taking such a heavy course load in hard sciences and really intent on majoring that in college too. So we've got a good story to tell is my point in sharing that, and we should do it more often for sure.
I agree, and I want to stress that again, whereas the private schools and the charter schools do a lot of recruitment, a lot of advertising, I don't want us acting like dinosaurs and just keep losing our students.
Agreed.
When we have great programs in our schools.
So one of the things we have done, which is new this year, I think this is the first year, we have hired a director of communications at the schools, Kelly Rice, and I think she's doing a phenomenal job, especially around some of even our own internal communications counselor. We're not always good at communicating with parents and families. So this year has been a little bit more of a focus around some of the internal stuff, both setting up mechanisms, structures, and systems, and also because we had the strategic plan going on, it was really important that we engage with families who were in the district. But I know as part of our 3-year communication strategy, we really want to tell the story. If you don't tell the story, nobody else will. And there's some amazing teachers and great work going on. And we know because our parents are telling, like our customers are telling us this, and frankly, there's nobody who could tell it better than them. So finding ways for testimonials to be done and for people to know and spread the good word is definitely critical for the future part of how we grow and enhance the
We should have a more of an in-depth conversation with our the school department when they come in.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, the 10 million that you referenced for Boston, was that for choice?
That's for charter school reimbursement that they're entitled to under the formula, but because the state doesn't fully fund the formula, we all only get a portion. So rather than getting dollar for dollar what the legislation requires, if the legislature doesn't fully fund it, then they only give us, a certain percentage. So I don't know what the percentage is right now, but it's less than 100% of what we're entitled to.
Okay, Salem is at $7 million. Do you know what Boston's at?
No.
That's our assessment.
That's our
Right,
assessment.
Correct.
that's what they take from us, what we're entitled to for the reimbursement. We should be getting another $1 million. They've shorted us on that amount. Boston's shortage is $10 million per year if they were properly fully funding. And that's the last time I talked to Boston, so, don't hold me to that number.
We can
But
get you the numbers
It's an
tomorrow.
issue that the communities that have Commonwealth charter schools have said, certainly myself, look, this is a good asset. The Salem Academy Charter School does a great job in our community. It's an asset here. It's kept families here. It works for a number of students. They've done outstanding work. Just properly fund what you said you were going to for the formula. And so far, the legislature has not done that the last 3 years. So that's the struggle. And it only deepens the divide in communities that do have more hostile relationships with their charter school. I'm really pleased to say that we don't. We've partnered with Salem Academy Charter School on a number of initiatives. We just got a dissemination grant wrapped up over the 3 years. We were working on standards-based education and report cards. We now do that. So we really are trying to tap into the resources and share expertise in areas and value them as another educational outlet in our community.
Okay, thank you. With regard to the choice program, while we're on talking about it, and maybe it's more appropriate for the school department discussion, but with choice and the recent vote for the high school, I want to make sure that we're not doing it simply to balance the budget.
Yeah.
In that an abutting town to Salem 25 years ago voted for choice for 1 year to balance the budget. And then in year 2 and 3 and 4, their budget was balanced. So they had part of a family, part of many families in the school, and parts of other the same families out of the school and not being allowed to go to the same school as their siblings. So they did something that I absolutely disagreed with. And that's the last time a town right around Salem has voted for choice since we just did, I think. I'm not sure about that, but I've been tracking them. Why do we vote for the choice? And I missed that meeting. Why do we vote for the choice? How many students did we assign or allow? And why was it that certain number? Was it for budget purposes here, or was it something different?
Yeah, we should certainly expound on that more when we have the school committee members here and the superintendent. I think I wouldn't want to speak for them, but we actually approached it in a really thoughtful way. There were talks in the past about going to school choice primarily for a budget matter, and the school committee's always rejected it. If we're going to do this, it should be for programmatic value. And the high schools had a decrease in enrollment, either because of the Essex Tech growth there, as when the new school was built, they've added more people, or as a result of the Salem Academy Charter Schools growth. So some of our programs that we'd love to be able to continue to support, with dwindling numbers, it makes it hard to keep a class with 10 people. You know, we'd love Mandarin Chinese, but we can't support it if there's only 6 students in it, things like that. So this year, the superintendent worked with Principal Angelramo and really looked at what do we think we have in terms of availability, and how do we not bite off more than we can chew. This will be the first time we're doing it, and what kinds of programs could we then support. And the class sizes are not overloaded at the high school at all, so we really felt like we could manage an additional number, and the number was 25 as a means to, you know, get our feet wet, see how it works out in terms of students coming over. There's protections built into the law so that if a student were to come over with a high special needs cost, you know, the new district doesn't bear that. So we're excited about embarking on this and seeing if some of the programs we have at the high school are really unique. If you think about the freight farm or the hydroponics lab, or, you know, the opportunity to participate in a vocational program. Some of our surrounding districts, even more affluent ones, don't have a comprehensive educational setting, and there are students who still want that, who can't get into the tech or may not be able to. So we thought this was a good approach in terms of trying to buttress programs that we may not be able to continue to support if we don't have enough students enrolled.
And I think that we can definitely continue this discussion when we have the superintendent here tomorrow night, and hopefully the school committee members will be here tomorrow night as well, and so we can get more.
Sure, it was their recommendation, so they can
tonight.
certainly share more that I may be leaving out because they had deeper insights into it.
And Madam Chair, I'll hold my other questions until the school department's in here.
Great. Any other questions? Councilor McCarthy?
Seeing no further questions, I move that we move the state assessment expenses in the department total of $8,946,786.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the state assessments non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $8,946,786, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Contributory retirement.
So this number is right in line with the past couple years of both keeping the schedule for our 2032 funding date in line. It's typically about a $500,000 increase each year. Not a small number, but something that we've worked pretty closely with our financial advisor, Siegel Company, and the retirement board members in trying to keep this number manageable.
And what is less fringe from grants?
So we charge off the North Shore WIB or those employees that are grant funded, we charge off the cost of their retirement and their health insurance to the grant. So the total amount is net that amount that's charged off and paid for by the outside entity.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy, did you have your hand up?
I have my hand up if no one has any other questions.
Nope. Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we remove the contributed retirement personnel department total amount of $10,933,812.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer contributory retirement personnel expense budget in the amount of $10,933,812, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Non-contributory pensions.
Madam Chair.
Council McCarthy.
Didn't sit on finance last year, and I know what this line item is, so I guess it used to be, when I first started, it was like, I want to say 13 people, and now.
That's the saddest number in the budget.
Yes, it is the saddest number, because these are the people that were employed dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of years ago that are at the twilight of their, so what this number now reflects, how many people are left?
So it's the breakdown in the second 3.
Okay. Yeah, I think I was like, when I first got on, it was like 13 or something. It was a bigger number, and, you know, it is, I mean, kudos, I mean, they work for the city. They did their time, and now they're wherever they are.
Enjoying different times.
They're enjoying, and, I mean, it's one of those things, it is the weirdest line item in the budget, because as you look at these decreases, it just means that people are no longer with us, and it's just, and in the short time I've been on the council, it's probably dropped, I want to say by about 10 people. So, I mean, these were people that didn't fund their pensions at all, but, so.
Any other committee member? Any comments? Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the department total amount of $19,935.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer's non-contributory pensions personnel expense budget in the amount of $19,935, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Medicare. Council McCarthy.
I mean, once again, Madam Chair, these are fixed costs that we have, I'm sure that we do everything we can to, you know, minimize these increases, but there's the fact of life, and so I move that we move the department total amount of $1,080,484.
Second.
Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer's Medicare personnel expense budget in the amount of $1,080,484, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. And then municipal insurance.
So municipal insurance is split between the city and school, so you will see that reflected on the second page of summary, which is section 8, page 92. I would give great kudos to Lisa Camerata, Kristen Schaefer, and Joanne Rumi, who've been working pretty comprehensively to make sure we're taking advantage of all property credits that are available to us, and that we're able to take advantage of any reduction in this cost that we can have. We work pretty collaboratively with our insurance company to keep this cost down.
Any questions from committee members? Councilor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. With all insurances across the board going up, how were you able to save $50,000 compared to last year?
So property and liability insurance is the cost of our buildings and the cost of our vehicles. So we looked closely at our older vehicles. Are we insuring for the full cost replacement? What are we doing for deductibles? What's come online? What hasn't come offline? Have we added vehicles? It's just sort of trying to keep, the other part is that we split the cost, so we're having the schools take a portion of it. So it's not that we're wholeheartedly or across the board reducing the cost of insurance premiums, but we are looking at areas of, are we overinsured? Are we underinsured? What properties are covered? What properties are not covered? And that does fluctuate the number just slightly.
Keep up the good work. Smaller numbers are good.
Yeah, we like smaller numbers.
The less you pay for insurance, the better.
Council McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we move the department total amount of $317,907.
Second.
Okay. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer municipal insurance non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $317,907, seconded by Councilor Dibble. All those in favor? Thank you.
So we're not done quite yet. The segment keeps going with water and sewer. So I would ask that everyone jump ahead to section 27, section 8, page 330. This includes the SESD assessment, the sewer enterprise fund, long-term debt and insurance deductibles.
What number is that? I have it on
section 8, 330.
Oh, you don't want to do the next section, which is sewer? Is that something?
That is it. This is what we're on sewer.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I jump ahead to
Well, I thought it was section 10, but maybe.
Oh,
I'm
I
wrong.
jumped ahead to actual sewer enterprise. Sorry.
Well, this is just the debt service.
Yep.
Okay, so which section?
10.
10. 10?
I mean, we have to approve 10 at some point.
No, so 10 is solicitor licensing.
10 is the glossary.
Oh, all right.
Yep, so
Oh, you know what? My budget book just has it as 10, so that's okay.
sorry.
Which section?
So 27.
27.
Section 8, page 330.
I might have it twice. I might have the full budget.
You're special, so we do
I'm special. I have two of them.
Special.
So you'll see both the sewer enterprise fund debt service, the insurance deductibles associated, and the SESD assessment. Again, we talked about the SESD assessment and the Salem Beverly Water Supply assessment and the debt really under Dave Milton's budget. But as with all assessments and all debt, it's under Kathleen's. So if you have specific questions about projects, I'm happy to follow up with Dave Milton, but Kathleen is simply responsible for paying the bill on this one. She unfortunately cannot get us to have a smaller debt or assessment on SESD.
Thanks for paying the bills, though.
It's a big check to write out.
Yes.
There it is.
Any questions from committee members? Seeing none. Council McCarthy?
I'll just, briefly, one question, I bring this point up a lot, but, our assessment with regard to SESD, with, trying to get more money out of them, how's that going?
I would say,
I mean, we all know it's
still a
a,
work in progress,
Yeah,
is how I
okay.
would phrase it.
all right, we can leave,
You're talking about the pilot.
we're talking about the pilot agreement,
Most
because,
folks know we have a pilot that gives us $500,000 a year. It's been $500,000 since SESD was established. Way undervalues the property that they have there. Their own audits estimate their property at a rate that would be paying us closer to $3 million a year. If we were actually, that was a taxable entity given the personal property in terms of the equipment and the value of the waterfront land. We have been unsuccessful in terms of getting the other member communities to try and to reach an accord with respect to an increase, even an incremental increase off of where we're at, to build in sort of a, an escalation clause going forward. And it requires an act of the state legislature. So it's built into the legislation that the pilot is a set figure at $500K. We've discussed trying to have formulas, trying to move things up. We'll make progress with one community and another community will back off. And so it's been really difficult to get consensus. We'd love, Senator Lovely could really probably be the person that might be able to help broker some opportunities. We've had some conversations with her staff and are hoping we might be able to hit this again in terms of a priority. It is not fair to have 4 other communities sending their waste here and only paying us an insignificant amount with respect to payment in lieu of taxes for the entire facility that serves the region. There's a reason that regional entity isn't on the Gold Coast in Beverly or, on waterfront in Marblehead Neck. It's in Salem, and we should be fairly compensated.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Any further? Council McCarthy?
Seeing no further questions, I move we approve the sewer debt department total in the amount of $1,094,845.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer debt service non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $1,094,845, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Short-term debt.
Madam Chair,
Do you have any? Thank you, Council McCarthy.
I move that we move the short-term debt for the sewer department total amount of $13,000.
Second.
Thank you, Councilor Fury. Council McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer's short-term debt service non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $13,000 even, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. SESD assessment. Council McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we approve the department total amount of $4,613,320.
Second.
Thank you. Council McCarthy moves that we approve the SESD assessment and the treasurer's non-personnel expenses in the amount of $4,613,320, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. And the insurance deductible.
No, the sewer enterprise fund.
Sewer enterprise.
Sewer enterprise
Oh, I'm
fund.
sorry. Sewer enterprise.
Okay.
What?
The insurance deductible, Counselor, for 5,000?
Isn't that, didn't I just say that? I thought I said insurance deductible.
No.
What did I say? I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay, insurance deductible. Counselor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we move the sewer enterprise fund insurance deductible department total amount of $5,000.
Second.
Thank you. Counselor McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer insurance deductible non-personnel expenses in the amount of $5,000, seconded by Counselor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you.
So we're gonna jump ahead to 28, Section 8, page 355, for water debt service.
What was the page number again?
355.
It's Section 8, page 355.
Counselor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just quickly to the mayor. Where are we at the 3-year average with regard to water with the power plant? I know when the power plant came off, there was that whole, yeah, we're using less water, but it's a 3-year thing and it's like an
Anytime
average.
there's an average, you look at the 3 years, so we didn't get the full credit of not using the million gallons a year of water that the power plant used when it was coal-fired and operational. So they are in 1, 2, we're in
This is the last year.
This is the third year of them coming offline, so that means going forward, we should be fully accounting for the water usage or lack thereof in terms of Salem.
So it should go down.
So you'll see a slight reduction this year. We're hoping next year is the full effect of that.
So next fiscal year,
That
right?
water.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Any further questions?
Seeing no further questions.
Counselor McCarthy?
Madam Chair, I move that we move the department total amount of $2,202,641.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Counselor McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer water long-term debt non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $2,202,641, seconded by Counselor Fury. All those in favor? Short-term debt.
Forgot about these.
Counselor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing no further, if there's no questions, I move that we move the water short-term debt in the department total amount of $33,000.
Second.
Thank you. Counselor McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer's water short-term debt non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $33,000 even, seconded by Counselor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. And the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board assessment.
There's the number a little,
See, a little better.
a little better.
Counselor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we move the department, the water assessment total in the amount of $2,446,652.
Second.
Thank you. Counselor McCarthy moves to approve the Salem Beverly Water Supply Board assessments from the Treasurer's Department for the non-personnel expenses in the amount of $2,446,652, seconded by Counselor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. And then finally, the insurance deductible.
Madam Chair?
Counselor McCarthy?
Seeing no questions, I move that department total in the amount of $2,500.
Thank you. Counselor McCarthy moves to approve the treasurer insurance deductible non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $2,500. Seconded by Counselor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Great finance, head home. Thank you. Call night. Thank you.
Is there anyone else behind us?
It's just me.
Oh, just you? I thought inspectional services.
Nope, they're tomorrow. They got moved to tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yep.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Great team.
Bye, Matt.
Bye, Directorate.
What
Bye,
number?
guys.
What number are you?
I am number 6.
Yes.
Thank you.
Transfers out also falls under finance as well, so that'll be a separate vote.
Okay. So section 26.
Still feels something.
So the most notable changes in the finance directorate budget are related to contracted services. This is our annual OPEB and GASB assessment. This is our other post-employment benefits. It's on a 2-year cycle. So you'll see this cost every 2 years, which is why there's the increased cost for Siegel to come in and do some actuarial evaluations for us. You'll also see a slight increase related to our fraud risk program that's looking citywide at how we are how are our cash handling operations, how are we keeping track, are we adhering to our financial policies and procedures. Before we get too far along, I want to make sure I give kudos to Nina Bridgman, who spends an incredible amount of time putting this budget book together, knows these numbers inside and out, and really serves as a backbone sort of helping all of us make sure that we're staying on target for getting this book on time and delivered. So just a thank you to Nina and to Jamie Cologne, who's the new assistant accountant, and helping put this book together. It's a large document in volume, but there's a lot of double checking, a lot of did you catch that number, did I catch that number, and I really appreciate the help for Nina. And she's sitting here still, which is helpful as well.
Thank you very much.
She hasn't left.
This is old news to her. This is old news.
Great team. What a great
Yes,
team.
absolutely. The crowd that was just before you can't beat them. Yes, so super
A lot
lucky.
of hard work. Workers.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If there's no questions, I move that we move the department total amount of $348,362.
Second.
Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the Finance Department personnel and non-personnel expenses in the amount of $348,362, seconded by Councilor Perry. All those in favor? Opposed? Thank
Tab we
you.
going to now?
Just jumping ahead to transfers out.
Which is tab,
I don't, Nina, what tabs transfers out?
28? 30.
way down at 29. Engineering trash enterprise?
26.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, guys. 26.
Thank you.
So you'll see here, for transfers out, we continue to fund $10,000 in anticipation of the very exciting Salem 2026 anniversary.
Centennial. What's happening?
You will also see the Bentley Academy Charter School is in there. As you know, although it's part of the school department directorate, and the school department will be speaking to the great success happening at the Bentley School, it is funded, bless you, as a transfer out. So that's why you see that under the transfers out versus under the school department budget.
What's happening with the retirement stabilization?
So retirement stabilization is a great thing, right? The mayor and the previous finance director established it in the hopes of being able to accurately plan for retirement costs. What we're going to do this year is close out a portion of free cash to fund it for next year. So the retirement stabilization fund is a little bit of a luxury in the sense that it allows us to, A, not have a delay in backfilling important positions when someone retires, but also gives us the financial stability to be able to give the person the payout right there and make sure that we have no delay in hiring the next person. We fully plan on funding a significant portion of the remainder of this year's balance of free cash to put towards this line item so that we're covering anticipated retirements.
Yeah, what used to happen in the past, if folks might recall, is somebody would retire, let's say a police officer, a superior officer retires, they have buyback provisions of, could be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and that would mean that the department would not be able to backfill that position because they'd need to rely on the salary line item going forward prospectively. And in schools, it could be a big number. If you had a year where we had a dozen teachers leaving, those numbers could be upwards, $600,000, $700,000. We really felt like, one, we need to budget for it. We need to make sure people are, to the extent that they are able to or willing to, sharing with us when they're going to retire so we can plan for it accordingly. It really does upset the apple cart at the end of the year if you have 24 teachers who say they're retiring and all of a sudden they've got a big buyback and you've got either budgeted in the next fiscal year, because it's usually at the end of the school year, or find the money within your existing setting. It's next to impossible without planning for it. Or in the police and fire departments, they were just running beer, so they would just not backfill a position for 9 months or a year because they were still, picking up for the buyback, and we felt like we really need to address it. The other thing it did is it highlighted how much sick leave buyback cost us. So we now have a system with new hires where we trim down those expenses going forward and try and cap them. You can buy a day at a reduced rate earlier so that you're not having 90 days at the end of your cycle that your end of your term makes it sound like a jail sentence. At the end of working for our city and contributing to us, you contributed 90 days, you gathered those 90 days over a 30-year career, but we paid them out the highest amount possible over at the end of your term. It became a nice nest egg for people when they were leaving, but it was really the benefit of not being sick that was costing us a lot of money. So we were able to, with all of our contracts, every single union, sign on to a new benefit system where if you want to take sick leave days earlier, you can at a reduced rate, and thus eliminating that long-term liability when you retire. It comes off. your ability to take them going forward. So
I would also add that both the city, schools, and public safety have been really proactive about asking their employees in advance, this is part of the budget process. Do you have retirement anticipations? Who do you think is coming online? This helps us plan for it financially of what's an adequate amount of money to cover that proposed cost, right, of doing business, but also helpful for the department. And Chief Butler talked about this in her budget meeting of like, okay, this body's moving here, this person's retiring, I'm gonna have to move this person up. So I think in addition to helping plan the financial aspect of it, it's helpful for departments to sort of operationally plan for that as well.
Thank you. Sure. Any other committee members have any questions? Councilor McCarthy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the department total amount of $3,028,434.
Second.
Thank you. Councilor McCarthy moves to approve the general fund transfer out non-personnel expense budget in the amount of $3,028,434, seconded by Councilor Fury. All those in favor? Thank you.
Council Fury?
Councilor Fury.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.